Good afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien and Bubba here on the afternoon of, what are we? Wednesday, March 31st, 2021. And I wanted to do a comment today and call it President Biden, 21st century equivalent of Emperor Caracalla. Okay? So here we go. Emperor Caracalla was emperor from 198 to 217 AD in the Roman Empire. And he was kind of like President Biden. Okay, which the thing was interesting for that was he became emperor at 10 in 198 AD. His father was getting older and he developed a triumvirate of his older son Gita and Caracalla, and that was Septimus Severus. So from 198 to his death in 211 AD, he was a co-regent, ruler. But remember, Caracalla was 10 years old when he started in 198 AD. So he was only 23 years old by the time his father, Septimus Severus, passed away in 211. That same year, his older brother, Gita, he died, got assassinated. Some say by Caracalla. And Caracalla was not a very liked person. Kind of like Joe Biden. The Senate didn't like him. Kind of like the Senate of the United States doesn't like Joe Biden. You got 50 Republicans that are going to be forever 50. And when he assumed the entire Roman Empire on his own in 211 AD, actually 212 is by the time they got it, but he was coordinated in 212, but he assumed it in 211. He had various issues, just like President Biden here in 2021 AD coming in. The predecessor, Septus Severus was not a good guy. And, the empire kind of languished under his rule there. And Caracalla was not exactly meant for ruling. He didn't like the daily stuff. So he put his mother in charge of the daily stuff. Just like President Biden is putting Vice President Harris in charge of the border. Yeah. So see, the vice president has some company because Caracalla put his mother in charge of the day-to-day stuff of the empire. He wanted to go out there and quarrel the problems that he had, because he had all kinds of problems like President Biden did. See, President Biden's got factions issues. He's got the coronavirus issue. He's got the south of the border issue, and he also has the Russians and the Chinese causing problems. Well, Caracalla did the same thing. He had the Germans, or Germanic tribes as they called them in those times, Alemanni, and the Persians. They called them Parthenians, but they were Persians, causing problems on the borders of the Roman Empire. And he had a heavy amount of discourse in the people here in Rome. So, like President Biden here in the 21st century, he decided to build baths. Okay? That all over the empire, especially in Rome, to leave the problem that they had with the people there. It's like the President Biden using the $1.9 trillion to alleviate the coronavirus. So he says. Well, that baths and coronavirus, and you put vaccines and baths, they don't do much for a person's essential, If you want to take a bath, well, after that, you're still the same, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, so that caused a little problem there. Then he had to do infrastructure because the Romans hadn't done infrastructure in about 80 years or so. Not since Mr. What's his name? Hadrian, up in 138 AD. You remember Hadrian's Wall? Hadrian. Yeah, Hadrian. When he died in 138 AD, well, his successors up until 211 AD hadn't done much infrastructure. So it was kind of crumbling. Same as the United States, infrastructure is crumbling. So, like President Biden is developing a $2 trillion infrastructure thing going up, Caracalla did the same thing. He, on top of he put that on top of the baths that he was building there. Then he went to fight his battles and left his mother to do the day-to-day stuff. Just like President Biden is persona no found on the border and on the virus situation, and you're letting poor Mrs. Walensky over there and AWOL Harris on the border. Well, it's the same thing, see? See what I mean about the equivalent 21st century? Then, Caracalla, okay, he had hard trouble getting things done because the Senate didn't like him. It's going to be like President Biden's going to have a hard trouble with the U.S. Senate. 50 Republicans against him. And there was a lot of senators in Rome that really didn't like Caracalla. And here's the problem with President Biden here. Caracalla met his demise over by Odessa. He had this soldier that the soldier was mad at him because he didn't get his centurion upgrade to a centurion. So he went over there and asked him, "Why did you pass me up for a centurion?" And of course, Caracalla saying, "I'm the emperor," just like President Biden says, "I'm here and I'm the boss." Well, he says, "Oh, you are, huh?" And he took his knife and yeah. Bye-bye, Caracalla. But President Biden could suffer the same fate if we don't watch it, because he's got a lot of problems here. And by the way, what happened to the Roman Empire after Caracalla died? And I'll tell you what happened to that. It became the crisis of the 3rd century, which was finally quelled 100 years later by Constantine in 312 AD. Yeah, remember Constantine? Oh, yeah. Well, and here's the problem that caused the crisis of the 3rd century with Rome, and it's going to cause the crisis of the 21st century with the United States. With all these things that President Biden's putting up there, you've got a $30+ trillion debt. You already put a $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, and now you're going to put a $2 trillion infrastructure. And he says, well, we're going to pay it by taxing the wealthy. But what he's not telling you, he's got other taxes he's putting up there. Like taxing you guys for using the roads, just like the Romans did back in 212 AD under Caracalla. The Romans taxed everybody who used the roads. Prostitutes, guy walking, jaywalkers, they got taxed. Okay, and President Biden is expected to do something that says, okay, you're going to use my roads. You're going to have to give me the odometer mileage at the beginning of the year and odometer mileage at the end of the year, and you pay tax on those miles that you use. Yeah, that sounds like a Caracalla tax to me, doesn't it? But I bet you that's what they're planning over there on the pardon me, the Biden administration. He's planning on doing something like that. And he says he's going to tax the rich people. Well, imagine if you're just like me and Joe Blow and me, and we take our car out to go to dinner it's gonna cost you money to go there and come back. I gotta visit my daughter, but I don't have the money to go from here to Tampa Bay. That's Atlanta to Tampa Bay over there. So I'm gonna drive over there. That's what, 500 miles there, 500 miles back. That's 1,000 miles, and we tax you at 5 cents a mile. Ooh yeah! And then you add that, and then whatever you do, you go to the gas station, you go pick up your pills, you go to the grocery store, wherever you go every day for 12 months, and say you accumulate 6,000, and those of you who drive 12, 15,000 miles at 5 cents a mile. So you see what I mean? So don't be surprised if President Biden comes around with, we're going to do the special tax on roads, and we're going to tax your mileage on your odometer. Anyway, this is what President Biden is doing. He's kind of looking at Caracalla and doing the same thing he is. And it's going to cost a crisis of the 21st century for the U.S., just like Caracalla cost a crisis of the 3rd century for Rome, which eventually led to the downfall of Rome 150 years later. This is your favorite alien, and Bubba. Good day.